Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all Quality family. Uh, I hope that you are doing well. We are just formally taking a start with the few verses from a Holy Quran. Mr. Shakir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
As this workshop is on the design and implementation of a quality management system for universities, a quality assurance and a quality enhancement framework, a welcome start by Honorable Professor Dr. Sayyid Minhajul Hassan Saab.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, organizers. And very good morning to all the participants online. It gives me a lot of pleasure that City University of Science and Information Technology, Peshawar, Pakistan, is able to organize this international workshop on the quality assurance and quality management. It was a couple of months back that the Association of Private Universities, Pakistan, came up with a program that different universities at different regions of Pakistan may organize events for the sister universities. Since I was confident about my QEC team that they are well qualified, trained, and organized, so I offered that the City University will organize this conference. Initially, our program was that it will be conducted physically, but due to the surge in COVID-19 cases in Peshawar, then the QEC team came up with the idea that we should go online and we should make it international. I'm thankful to my team that they worked hard and they were able to register 222 participants for this workshop for around 170 universities, both private and public. Congratulations, Dr. Nauman and your team. The resource persons would give detailed lectures on different aspects of quality assurance and quality management. Here, I will just give you an introduction. The quality assurance and quality management, this came up after the establishment of Higher Education Commission. And they have been working from time to time to take on board the universities for quality research and quality teaching. Here I must say that currently the universities are more focused on external quality than internal to meet the standards of the QAA of HEC. But I must appreciate that obviously you cannot separate external quality from internal qualities. With the development and enhancement of different qualities, obviously it reflects on the internal quality system as well. While going through different kinds of these quality enhancement and quality management, I came to know that these are two different systems. We hope that with the passage of time, quality assurance and quality management both will develop the universities and develop the culture of research and also the quality of teaching in the universities. I hope it will also have a trickle-down effect on our colleges. Because in the colleges, so far I know, I haven't seen any such system where they want to ensure the quality of research or the quality of teaching. We cannot separate colleges from the universities because colleges do provide us the students. If we will get the students in a very raw shape, it will be very difficult and it will be a hard time for the university faculty to improve their standards. So I would request and urge the Higher Education Commission to also take on board the different higher education departments in the provinces to urge upon them that the quality standards should also be improved in the colleges. How to improve it, the resource person would tell you, but I must here mention few steps in the processes of the quality assurance. And that is that you have to plan, then do, action, and act. Check and act. These are the few steps which ensure the quality processes and the quality system. I hope these 2 days of our workshop will be productive in nature and the participants will be able to increase their knowledge, to enhance their knowledge, and to polish their research skills as well as teaching skills. I wish you all good luck and pray to God that this workshop of 2 days may see the success. Thank you very much.
तमाम क्वालिटी मेंबर्स से गुजारिश है कि अपने कैमरास जो हैं वो ऑन कर दें जिनके पास स्क्रीन में कैमरास हैं सो दैट हम जो है तो पिक्चर ले लें देन इसके बाद आप स्विच इट ऑफ कर दें थैंक यू वेरी मच Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Like we are not taking. All right. Thank you very much, dear dear members. Now I'm just moving on to another session, Quality Assurance and Enhancement in Higher Education by Professor Dr. Muhammad Nauman Habib, Director, Quality Enhancement Cell, City University of Science and Information Technology. Dr. Saab, over to you.
Thank you very much to all the QEC fraternity that they have given us a very overwhelming response for this workshop. We are very grateful to all of you for sparing time and making this workshop possible for us. City University of Science and Information Technology is a private sector university located in Peshawar, and it is one of the pioneer university in this region. We are also very grateful to the partners in this conference under the umbrella of Association of Private Sector Universities of Pakistan. The chairman Saab from Superior University has been very kind to give us this task and trusting us in it. And we believe that this session would be a productive one, and we'll try to make sure that we all learn something from it. If you look at the list of the participants that we have, the participants are representing the variety of universities, and some of them are from the colleges, both from the public sector and private sector. I'm glad to tell you that the entire Pakistan, from every geographical region, from the every language and dialect, there are people who are working, participating in this workshop. Start with the quote from Albert Einstein stating that without changing our patterns of thought, we will not be able to solve the problem that we create with our current patterns of thought. This is a belief, with the belief that change requires sacrifice, and to overcome from our comfort zones, we have to move out of this comfort zone so that we can succeed. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nauman Habib, and today's session is about quality assurance and quality enhancement in higher education. Though there are a lot of seasoned quality enhancement members and experts in this session, along with them, there are some fresh people I can see from their list, and they are eager to learn. So this session will cover up the very basics of what this workshop would be all about, and to give you a sort of overview of how quality assurance and quality enhancement is taking place in higher education. So I'll start with the definition of the quality. Unfortunately and luckily, there is no definition which is universally accepted for the quality. So there is a bit of confusion into it. But while we look into the quality, it is something that you believe in. The quality is always something which you strive to achieve, which you strive to maintain, and which you want to deliver with the standardization and with the proper benchmarking. So you are in a better position to explain and define your own terminology of quality. But if we may not know the definition of the quality in a proper manner, there are certain ways of thinking about the quality. Quality as a fit for purpose can be one of the perspective where we try to satisfy the needs. And when we talk about higher education, the needs of that needs to be satisfied belongs to our students, their needs and requirements, faculty, the external members, or the society and community at large. So we need to look into it, that what purpose particularly we are serving and what is the fit of it. The second way of thinking about quality can be quality as a value for money. Now, cost effectiveness is one of the key elements in the quality, and when we go and look into the development of the industrialization, we see that in most of the cases, the countries, they went for efficiency and effectiveness, which is the crux of the management: low cost and maximum output. that is what we do. But in higher education, in universities and degree awarding institutions, we may have to think about it. What do this mean? It may mean the value for money. The student, the parents, the society, what they are paying in the terms of cost, fee, scholarships, whether that has been effective and that is giving them the desired value or not. Then the third thing about quality aspect is excellence, achieving the highest of the standard. This is something we debate a lot, highest of the standards. But who will set the standards? That is an ultimate question. The regulatory bodies? Is it the councils? Is it the HEC? Or is it us internally? If we are looking into the elements of quality as an excellence from the outside sources or the external bodies, then that means that we are just trying to meet what standards they have set. However, the universities are autonomous bodies. They have their own statute, they have their own vision, they have their own mission, their goals and objectives, and they are in this business or in this academia for something which they believe that they are contributing towards the society. So their excellence matters. So highest standard may be imposed from outside, but if you do not standardize your own system, you do not make your own standards, that would become a difficult element. The fourth way of thinking about quality is quality as perfection, a consistent or flawless outcome with zero error. There we go towards the concept of Six Sigma, which is related to the quality enhancement in the industry. This means that whatever we are doing it in a very effective manner. By keeping our capacities and capabilities in mind, we are designing our processes, our procedures, our systems where there is a zero error chances. And lastly, quality as transformation. This is something which refers to the total quality management perspective. And in total quality management, by including it into our quality assurance system, we are talking about quality enhancement. We'll talk about it in detail in a while. Moving on, there are different views of our stakeholders regarding the quality. Now, what do they think of quality in a higher education or in any organization that matters to? Okay. Now, first, our stakeholders believe that the quality is for excellence. That means the view of academia. We believe that academia is all about excellence. It is all about future. It is all about giving something, and we always desire and have hope regarding the excellence perspective of it. Then other perspective is the client satisfaction. Obviously, the students, the employers, the employees, the society, the councils, all of them are somehow relevant directly or indirectly our clients. So we need to have their satisfaction ensured. That is where the ultimate standard of quality comes in. Then we go towards value added elements. This means that what are those extra elements that we are giving to them? See, the degrees are offered by every institution. Every institution claims to have a quality. They claim that they have experts and experienced faculty members. They have conducive working environment. They have the research culture. But if all of them are giving the same elements and there is no difference into it, then where is the value addition in the life? So we have to look into these elements to make sure that we have this competitive advantage and the core elements are strengthened along with the value addition element. Then we go towards the value for money. because the taxpayers look into it, the government is paying, and these elements of value comes from the money when you are satisfying your clients. Then fitness of purpose for purpose is very important. This is something where we look into the external assessors aiming for improvement. By that we mean that those bodies which are governing us externally, we have to look into their role. So here, fitness for purpose would be checked by the Higher Education Commission, by the QAD, by the QAA. Then there are other bodies associated with it. They will be looking into it. And finally, the threshold, the minimum benchmark and standard would be checked by the accreditation or the accreditation council. So this is what we have to look into. Moving on, the quality assurance and quality enhancement is a combination of these 5 factors in our higher education. We have to set accountability parameters, which is very important, that we should have our internal mechanism for quality check and making accountable all the internal processes, people, and stakeholders. Then the control mechanism, once you have the policies, the frameworks designed, then it comes the stage where we have to control them. After the control, we go to the evaluation. In evaluation, we have to check whatever we are doing, the self-assessment reports, SARs, internal IPEs, all of these stages and steps are related to evaluation. Then comes the measurement. Maybe someone say that evaluation and measurement is same. No, once you have evaluated it, then you measure it with your own benchmarks, with your own standards and the standards from the external members or the bodies, wherever their standards are. For example, ISO, for example, APQN is there, for example, in CAI is there, UNESCO has set their standards, and the standards from the Europe, Asian examples are there. We have to see how we are progressing, and very lastly, we reach towards the quality improvement and quality enhancement element, which comes at the later stage. Now, certain definitions, just I'll go quickly with the quality assurance. What does it mean in the higher education? It is not about satisfying the standards or specifications against which to measure or control quality. Quality assurance is about ensuring that there are mechanisms, procedures, and processes in place to ensure that the desired quality, however defined and measured, is delivered. So whenever we go to some workshop or session or to certain visit, and when we ask them to define quality, so people go with, mostly they go with the definitions or the bookish approach. Now, this bookish elements or quality definition will not matter unless and until you have defined yourself for yourself that what do you mean by quality. So then we come towards the second aspect, which is the quality assurance. It implies a determination to develop a culture for quality in an institution of higher education, for what everyone is aware of his own part in sustaining and improving the quality for institutions. Some other definitions, but I'm not going into it. Just one element that you have to focus on, the point, first point, last sentence, it has set itself. So the standard, it has set itself. So you have to set your own standards. And a recent 2015 definition is a systematic, structured, and continuous attention to quality in terms of maintaining and improving the quality. Okay, purpose of quality assurance in education. There are three purposes of it. One, accountability. Second, information. And third one is quality enhancement or improvement. Accountability towards the public expectations, accountability to certify that the standards are met. Second, information towards the students, employers, government, and potential students, etc. Lastly, when we go towards the improvement, we talk about continuous improvement, increasing benchmark, and building trust. Now, in IQA, universities are autonomous. That is what we always hear from the QAA and from the HEC and all those aspects. And it is true that we are. So universities are the key agent and experts responsible for ensuring quality of higher education. The external bodies gave us the basic strength. Okay. These are the guidelines for quality assurance in Europe. Now, if you look at it, they state very clear elements of institutions have a primary responsibility for quality for their provision and its assurance. Quality assurance responds to the diversity of higher education systems, educations, and programs and students. Quality assurance supports the development of a quality culture, and quality assurance takes into account the need and expectations of students, all other stakeholders in the society. And then we come towards the quality enhancement stage, which is a very later this purpose is of all the activity that we conduct in quality assurance is for quality enhancement. The policy experts are talking about enhancement centered approach, but bear in mind that it is a very later stage. It is not the stage where we can straight away start with the quality enhancement. No, first we have to go and achieve that quality assurance elements. We have to mature our system before we extend ourselves towards the quality enhancement. And it can be made possible when we have a quality culture in organization. Remember, without a culture of quality in an organization, particularly in the universities, we cannot achieve our quality assurance, or we cannot do quality enhancement. So organization culture that is intended to enhance quality permanently and is characterized by two distinct elements. One, the cultural or psychological elements of the shared values, and the second one is the structural and managerial elements, which defines to enhance the quality and aim to coordinate with the individual efforts. Now, when we talk about individual efforts or individual level, we need commitment from every individual to strive for quality. And when we talk about the collective level, so it is the individual's attitude and awareness that adapts to the culture. The tools or processes and these efforts of individual and collective level is made sure by the communication, by active participation and trust. And I will stop my presentation with a quote. It states that almost all quality improvement comes via simplification of design, manufacturing, layout, processes, and procedures. Thank you very much. And I'll just have a pause of a minute, and then Mr. Khawar, I will take your question. Mr. Khawar. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Fine.
No, it's fine. Working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's okay this time around.
Okay. Now I'll ask you a random
It's fine,
question
sir.
because sometime we do get this question in the very beginning of the any conference that you heard of these elements. That is why by the title you were inclined and motivated to join it. Obviously, there are other reasons as well, but for me, being an academician, it is always a first element of for me to learn something. And whenever it comes to me, the topic which is of my interest and I am eager to know about it, that is where I go for it. So if I ask the respected members to share their thoughts and views, why they believe that these topics of quality management system, the design and implementation of it, they are important.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, actually,
Walaikum assalam.
thing is that we all working related to the quality assurance in different private sector universities of Pakistan. Here, people have mind. The main is that we need a networking at the current era. World is going toward networking, establishment of quality circles, quality groups. Through these type of networking activities, we can share our explicit knowledge or our tacit knowledge also. So in this way, we can get benefits of the mutual learning experience. Well, last year we in the lead course of ISO 21001 Education Organization Management System and implemented in our Festival campus first time as a first party audit. So we learned a lot of things from this activity. So for me, the purpose is to share the experience from Rifa Faisalabad, gone through, or from the experience you people are doing in KPK or my other fellows in different states of Pakistan. So in this way, if we are looking to plan these kind of activities on monthly basis or quarterly basis, so it will, return us back in a huge potential. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I believe that this is the main reason. Dr. Khushbakht Hina, Director QEC from Namal. Okay, I was expecting to have a bit more discussion and deliberation. However, it's not encouraging right now. Anyways, let's talk about one of the system, quality management system. One of the fundamental aspect of having a quality assurance is backed up by a proper quality management system in the organization. It is the combination of both uh, internal aspects and external aspects. Now, if you look at the slide, it will show you that it is the coordinated activities to direct and control an organization with regard to quality.
Excuse me, sir, please move your slide. We are still on the first page of your slide.
Let me stop sharing and again start sharing. Is it visible now? Let me just change it so that you can know.
Yes,
It is.
no, it is working.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. So it's a coordinated activity, and for coordinated activities and to align all the activities, we need a proper system. It's a set of business processes that are geared towards delivering products and services to a consistently high standards. Now, when we look at the name quality management system, it comprises of three words. The first word, quality, as we discussed in the very beginning in the introductory session. Then the second one is management, and the third one is system. We may pose a series of questions in all these three attributes. What do we mean by quality? And what does it state for the institution to look into it? So that is, what is the institution's concept of quality and methodology of doing that quality? You need to define quality for yourself. The second one, which is very interesting one, and it's an area of my experience and my degrees all are in the management. So management reflects that is the institution's strategic plan on quality integrated and aligned with the vision of the quality or not. I'll ask you questions, all of you, to look into the strategic plan of your organization. Is there a term quality mentioned over there or not? Particularly when we look into it, we start searching through the vision statement of our organization. So do we have quality in your vision? Do we have a quality in your mission? Is it associated and reflected in your goals and objectives? Is it a part of your short-term goals and medium-term goals or not? Are you defining it properly? And if you do so, then your organization will show commitment towards the quality and quality enhancement. The third aspect is system. Once your organization has put it in their management through their strategic plan, then how does the institution's strategic culture, their structure, their reward system, their behavior of the management, behavior of the employees, support system among the inter-organization and intra-departmental capacities and elements, we need to look into it and find out that do we have a support model to ensure that we are on the right path to attain the quality or not. So these three words have their own understanding and their own meaning. And together, when we combine these three words, we move towards establishment of the quality management system. And now I come back to the previous slide where I stated that it is a coordinated activity to direct and control an organization with regard to quality. And the second point finally accomplishes the definition altogether, and it just synergizes all the three aspects of quality management system by providing a set of business processes that are geared toward delivering products and services to a consistently high standards. Now, in terms of the quality in education system, quality education depends on the skills with which the various stakeholders' voices are integrated, processed, and escalated into features of institutions and its related deliverables. Welcome to Mr. Imran Marwat Saab. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, when we talk about the elements of deliverables, we have to look into the institutional structure first. Then we have to look into the facilities. Then we have to look into the program and the courses that we are offering and their content into it. Then we look into the teaching methodologies and the environment that we are providing to them to make sure that the courses are aligned, the programs offered are aligned with our strategic mission and our vision of the department. When we talk about the delivery modes, we have seen during the COVID that we had to move and switch to the various online activities, and less organizations or HEIs were equipped at that time to have an online mode or electronic mode to continue their semester system. And that was very difficult one because it was not a part of our generic delivery modes at that time. However, we learned, and that is how we enhance our quality by continually evolving and improvement. Instructional interaction at student-teacher interface, that is very important because they are the two main pillars of every higher education institution. They are the part which makes or breaks the organization. Definitely, students are the backbone of the organization, and teachers are the ones who are directly associated with all these students. And all the activities in the entire process that we do in the universities revolves around these two pillars, the students and teacher. So we have to provide them a quality in terms of education, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the resources, the programs, and the delivery mode. Okay. How would you define quality in your own terms, looking into your own institution? If I may have some responses from the participants, that would be encouraging, and also we can learn from each other. So what do you and your organization thinks of quality?
So can I tell?
Yes, Mr. Dr. Zunnurain Khan.
So quality is basically when we are setting some benchmark and when we are setting some parameters through which we can achieve the organizational goals. And when we set the benchmarks and when we set the parameters, so with these things, we can achieve the quality in our organization. So for achieving the quality, we need to set the parameters, we need to set some benchmarks. And for going towards achieving that benchmark, we need to set some goals, some objectives in the organization. So this is from my side is related with the quality.
Okay, I got it. So your focus is towards establishing parameters and benchmark and then achieving them.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. Syed Farhan Gilani, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
According to my thinking, quality means satisfaction. And you know that satisfaction is not the thing which you can achieve and it's okay. It's a continuous process. So according to my thinking, quality means satisfaction. So if we want to satisfy our student, myself, and even rest of the system, I have to improve continuously.
I agree with you. Thank you very much, sir. Muhammad Uzair, Dr. Uzair Khan. Dr. Mohammad Uzair Khan, you raised your hand. You want to add something?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam. Welcome.
It's a sir, to me, quality is, it's a level where a teacher set for himself and also the organization. And whenever we teach each and every semester, the subjects are different. But to me, when I teach my students, so I set my own goal. And if at the end of the semester, the students are satisfied, and I also check their output. So how they are improving or how they improved after my semester. So I think my quality parameter is that. So to me, I think to every person, the quality parameter is different. But if an institute set a certain parameter, so it should be strictly followed, and it should be enhanced after every semester or every session. I think that is what I think of.
Okay, so if I am getting it right, you mean to say that it's the level set by every individual in the organization, if it can be a teacher, because you gave your example as a teacher, and then measuring that standard, whether we have been able to achieve it or not, that is something which you call quality.
Exactly, I think.
Thank you very much. Habib Gill, sir.
Yeah, sir. Actually, my colleagues uttered the term of parameters and something you people are going to set by your own. For me, the quality is that the requirements of interested parties. What would be the interested party definition? The learners, their guardians, educators, our universities, then our industry, where they will go to find a job or any kind of profession or to set their own business. Through these kind of targeted stakeholders called interested parties, on the say on their recommendation, we have to develop the objectives that must be covered through our curricula. So the product which an educational institute is providing to learners is their curriculum, is their course. So after the completion of the particular course, if the learners are able to perform according to the objectives set by interested parties, it would be the circle that we are going to able to convert their expectations into satisfaction. So this process, according to me, is the process of quality assurance. Thank you.
Okay, so if I'm taking it correctly, it's regarding the requirement of stakeholders which needs to be met. That means their expectations transformed into their satisfaction.
Now, definitely, if I am going to set some kind of objective on the behalf of a teacher, that if I will be able to include these kind of parameters in my learner, it would be some kind of quality. I don't think so. It will be work when they will go outside the institute or university. So we have to take on board our all stakeholders or targeted stakeholder called interested party. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anyone else who wants to participate in the discussion? Mr. Khawa.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So what is basically quality to me is that to assure quality, we need to set and know the customers. We need to know the basic requirements of the customers, and to achieve this customer satisfaction, we need to set some sort of standards. We need to make procedures according to our customer satisfaction, and to achieve those standards set by our own self is the basic requirement of quality. First, we need to lay down the basic structure. We need to have some sort of quality management system in our institutes, and that to achieve those standards is basically what quality is. That's what I think of quality.
Right, a very appropriate one. Thank you very much. Dr. Zishan Bangash Saab.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can you hear, sir?
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much for such an informative session. While I have a different opinion about the quality, right? Uh, First of all, I am of the opinion that my pocket defines my quality. Now, every university or every institution has a different perspective of equality. So I am of a different opinion that on a single yardstick, you or the quality standards are evaluating each and every institution. First thing. Second thing is that, for example, if a university has set its standards that it will be very effective in terms of the teaching, or it is a teaching institution, so the quality will be a different meaning to that institution. Similarly, if a university is opting for a research, so quality is concerned, I will define it that it is basically to provide the opportunities to the student that will help them to award their to achieve their awards. And for that purpose, that needs to be assured that effective teaching or the support from the university and the assessments and also the opportunities, the learning opportunities that needs to be provided to them, keeping in view the dynamics of that university, keeping in view the constraint of or the geographical location of that university. So I define the academic quality for the institution in that terms. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zishan. It was a very accurate and to the point
Thank you.
elaboration and deliberation on the point of defining quality in your own terms. And I fully endorse this thing. We have been experiencing one recent episode where one of the university somehow approached us to help them in writing their own strategic plan. And with the reference purpose, they shared some of the strategic plans which they downloaded from the internet of the European world ranked universities, renowned universities. And they believe us to just somehow combine those strategic links they have and come up with a strategic plan for themselves. And unfortunately, at that time, we told them that you have to ask your management what do they expect and where they want to be in the future, what are their own expectations, where their resources and their own path. If you do not have clarity in it, all the plans, the quality parameters, they are readily available on the website of every university. You can just simply download, cut, copy, paste it, and it will not gain anything for you or give you some benefit in this regard. So we need to define quality in our own terms. The employees are the internal and major stakeholders, and the university for this instance is very important that they should take all the stakeholders on board in the process in defining the quality. They can be the teachers, researchers, the management, the supports departments all together. But it comes to once again to the vision of the organization. I'll come to your point. If the university is more research focused, so their quality parameters and their quality would be defined differently. But if that university is focused on the undergraduate programs, which is more like teaching oriented, in that case, their quality parameters and their quality definition would be different. And particularly talking about their resources, then you have to align your resources accordingly as well. So thank you. Do we have any other participant who want to contribute on this point? If not, then we will move ahead. Okay. Now we are done with the management quality part of quality management system. Let's talk about management for quality institution. What does it mean? And these are the 14 attributes which needs to be the core of every institution when they require quality. They need to be disciplined. Every activity in the institution must be based on certain timeline. There should not be any open frame for it. Then they had to be upfront. They have to do things. They have to take initiative. They have to be proactive, not reactive in every aspect. Definitely, as the circumstances of COVID, we have seen all of were reactive in this regard. But in most cases, we have to be properly planning in advance. So we need a proactive approach. Then creating customer value. That is very fundamental aspect. When we talk about the universities, and I'll share the KP situation with you, almost every district in KP is having a university. One general university, then a specialized university, whether medical or engineering. And then we have the women universities along with us. Afterwards, we look into the colleges. Now, the degree colleges, as the quality assurance division in the higher education department is looking into it. And there are more than, I believe, if I'm not wrong, 170 degree colleges which is offering the same generic programs of BS in all the colleges. So by the end of the day, the question comes towards value creation. How we are encouraging and promoting our university, and why the students will come to us. That is a very important question that needs to be answered. If you do not have a competitive advantage, if you do not have a proper promotion in this regard to reach to your customer and tell them that we are creating customer values, then there is a problem. For that, we are going to link this point with the fifth point of creating strategic capabilities. Every organization should do their internal assessment and look into it, that what are those strategic areas they want to focus on and how they want to move forward. Then embracing change. We have seen, if it is in the services sector, in the production sector, in the developed world, or in the underdeveloping countries, there is a possibility and problem that most of the organizations which have seen their peak, unfortunately a time comes when they are not ready to change. When they are in the status quo, they see their downfall. Then we move towards ensuring integration of efforts. Organization is a combination of different aspects and departments, and in every department there are different human resource engaged. Particularly in the universities, there are teachers, there are non-faculty members, there are administration, registrar section, examination, then the finance, establishment, and so on. We have to look into it, and we have to come up with an integrated approach where all their efforts are directed and channelized towards a proper goal, objective, and a milestone. Establishing a learning culture, that is very important. I come across one faculty member where I asked him a question that this course, which book are you following? And the answer was that I don't need a book to teach this subject. This means that this person believes that he has more than enough knowledge, he has learned enough that he do not need any book to refer while preparing his or her lecture. So this was something alarming. This means that the learning culture somehow has stopped. Then it is already based on individual learning, which is transforming into the team learning and finally into the organizational learning. For learning organizations, we need to follow a double loop system, which should encourage all to participate, take actions, and take ownership of every action that they take. Then we go towards gaining alignment. Alignment is with the resources, and it is also with the requirements made by the external members, by the external stakeholders, mean the government, the policy makers, the HEC, the councils. We need to align our efforts and we need to manage. We have to make sure that we are not going in opposite direction whatsoever they are asking us. So we need to align somehow. Definitely, we are not saying that this thing that we have to follow and only follow their expectations and their benchmarks. We have to set our own benchmarks as well. Then having a desire to be out front. By having a desire to be out front is something which is a characteristics of a progressive institution. You have to think out of the box. You have to take calculated risk. You have to initiate something. And when you do so, doesn't matter if you fail into that effort, but somehow you are going to learn. Then we go towards linking the micro to the macros. By micro, we mean that within the organization, every individual is having the same important value in your organization as your head of the organization is. So from the security guards to the class 4, to the teachers, to the assistants, to the managers, to the deans, head of departments, and the other department head of sections, all of them have to link their individual contributions towards the macro level. Measuring, reporting, and learning. This is what we talk about internal quality assessment. We have to have a proper measurement tools with us. Right now, when we look and we talk in our QEC fraternity, we see that most of the time the measurement tools that we are using and we have adopted are external, like SAR tools, IPE tools, program review tools that we use in it. All of them, or those rubrics and those forms, are external. And they have given us to make sure that we report to them accordingly. However, it is not necessary that we always follow those aspects. Now, see, it's my own parameters that I have defined quality. And when I have defined it, I need to have my own measurement tools for that. If I have set my goals, if I have set my targets, if I have set my objectives, in that case, I need to be very precise, because I know my key performance indicators, and how am I going to measure my performance against those KPIs? For that, I need my own tools. Once the tools are made, then you measure it. After measuring, you report it. By report generation, then you have to share it with your internal stakeholder and see how you are progressing, how you are achieving those benchmarks and those standards. Once that is done, then we will go towards resourcing for the medium-term measures. That is related to your 5-year strategic plan. We need to achieve it. We need to attain it. And lastly, supporting distributed leadership. Leadership at the top is not what all of the time will give us the fruits, and we cannot only depend on them. Leadership across the board, leadership from every level of the organization is very important. And It can be a designated person, it can be a non-designated person, but the leader should show commitment towards the cause of the organization, the cause of the institution. They should have a shared vision, they should value, they should contribute in this regard. So these are the 14 attributes in which the management for quality can be ensured if we follow those aspects. And by chance, I have been notified that Dr. Karl has joined the session. Dr. Karl, can you hear me?
Hello, I'm
Hello.
here.
Welcome to the workshop.
Thanks a
And-
lot. I'm listening. Thank you.
Okay, so how much time would you require for your session? I can just stop right away.
I'm quite flexible.
Okay.
I can take a longer presentation. I can make it a bit shorter as you demand. I don't want to stop you at all, because
Okay,
I think you're really pointing out some quite important points here.
All right, so I'll just take 10 more minutes and then I'll let you continue with your session.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so after the management, now we come toward the third aspect of QMS, which is a system. Now, in order to have a QMS, we need a proper infrastructure. And without infrastructure, we cannot achieve. Education and quality management infrastructure are both deliberate purpose-driven systems. Any education is bestowed with a number of goals and objectives, just as a quality management model is charged with the number of goals and objectives. So we need to have a proper system. We need to have a proper processes in place and a proper structure for that. Reason is we need to integrate, we need to align our efforts, we need to simplify the complex processes and elements in a very sophisticated way. When we do so, I'll just quickly share with you the different QMS models that are used globally and the attributes and elements of it. Now, if you see ABEF is there, CFFBE, then EQFM, ISO has their own QMS model, then MBNAQ is there, SAQF is there, and then at the last we have total quality management. I'm not going into the detail of it. There is a different debate. Some say that QMS is a part of a TQM effort, and certain people say that QMS is totally different from TQM, but I'm not going into those critiques. We will focus more on quality management system in this regard. Now, if you look at the characteristics of these models at the top in the horizontal line, leadership. Leadership is a characteristic of every model. That is why you can see it is being reported and put in every model in this regard. Then we have strategic planning. Strategic planning is part of all those 8 QMS models. Then customer focus. Over here, we mean the students, the researchers, their parents, their families, and the community at large. So the focus of every QMS model is on customer focus as well. Then we have process management. We have to simplify the processes. We have to make sure that the processes are aligned with our strategic plan. It is according to our quality parameters that we have set, and it is in line with our midterm goals. Then 89%, that means 7 out of 8 models are focused on business results. That means we have to benchmark, we have to set a standard, and then we need to measure it as well. The next one is knowledge management. Now, because we are in the 4th industrial revolution, and being in the academia, we are all the knowledge workers. The knowledge sharing and the knowledge management perspectives are very important for every higher education institute. That is why ABEF, which is Australian Business Excellence Framework, ISO, MBNQA, it is also focusing on it, and TQM is also having a reflection of this characteristic. Then improvement, that is enhancement. Quality assessment, quality assurance without having a thought or prospective commitment towards quality enhancement is of no use. Till how long you will strive to achieve the same. I give the example over here that there is a small mountain in your area which is having the height of say 500 meters. And every day you go there, you reach to the peak, you climb and you say that I have done it, I have achieved it. And you are doing it for the 10 years in a row. This is something which you have already achieved. Why not go to another mountain which is having 1000 meters height, and then to a 1500 meters, and then to the 400 meters, and so on. This is something which we say that you are improving, you are continually enhancing your abilities and capabilities. Then we have the measurement. Unfortunately, only ISO and MBNQA is focusing on the measurement of those parameters or your quality assessment aspects. Then two of them are focusing on partnership, industry academia linkage, partnership with the community, partnership with the agencies, partnership with the external bodies, accreditation councils, that is, and so on. Then two of those models are focusing on information, sharing and dissemination of the information. Now we have seen in SDGs that we focus more on the element of sharing information. We have to disseminate the information. People should know that what we are doing and how we are doing it, what we have achieved and what we are striving to achieve. For that, we have to share the information, both internally and externally. Only one EQFM, which is basically the European Foundation of Quality Management, they focus on policies that you need to add quality related policies in this model. Then one of this is ABEF is focusing on innovation, and just a single one on the resources. So I'm not saying that which model is right or wrong, just a depiction and a picture that if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 elements, the first 6 elements, the leadership, strategic planning, customer focus, process management, business results, and knowledge management. These are some of the attributes which are mostly common among all the QMS models throughout the world. We need to set up our system, and if we only focus on these, that would be one of a big achievement for us. Then strategic planning, it should be based on different models. There is a part of a system thinking, mental models, shared vision, personal mastery, and team learning. But due to the time elements, I want to give more time to Karl to have a long session, and he should share his internal quality assurance systems that they are having in their WU University at Vienna University of Economics and Business. So I want to have more learning from them. So I'll be just skipping these sessions. I'll share these slides with you so you can read them and utilize them. Okay. In initial, when we were having a discussion and defining QMS, we talked about voices. Now, these are the voices which needs to be heard. The voice of customer, the voice of employees, the voice of the business, the market, and results will follow. When we talk about customer, we are talking about students, industry, and society, their opinions, their needs, their requirements, their suggestions. All of those elements are very important that we should focus on. Then employees are the fundamental part of our organization. Therefore, we need to give attention to the voices of the academic staff, the management, as well as to the supporting department, because they all have their own views. They think and look into the happenings around in the organization from the different perspectives. They have their own uniqueness, and their uniqueness can contribute positively towards the organization, towards your university, and towards your effort for quality enhancement. When we talk about the businesses, then the quality regulators, oh yes, we have to hear them out. We have to follow them. Otherwise, we would be in the deep water. And it won't just be a deep water, it would be a boiling water for our organization. So we cannot make them unhappy. We have to make sure that these quality regulators, whatever standards and benchmarks they have, that is for the standardization across the country or across the council, and in fact internationally as well. The professional bodies and the accreditation councils, they should be heard. Their minimum standards should be followed, but their minimum standards should not be followed forever. We have to go one step ahead at a time. It was just like a climbing a mountain. And the market forces are very important. We need to see the rankings. We need to see what research and development are taking place externally. What are the industrial demands? What are the problems in the industry that we can contribute? What are the patents, innovations, creativity aspects, entrepreneurial tendencies? We need to look into it, because this is what we are doing. We are preparing our students for the market. So we need to equip them with the right skills, soft skills. We need to give them the right knowledge and develop their abilities. And then the professional associations, we have to get membership with the professional associations, because there are the people who are the industrial experts. They know in their particular field what is happening, what are the future demands, and etc. And ultimately, if we do so, we hear all these voices, either our brain will burst out, or if we are able to take this information and we can properly filter that information and extract the useful information from it, then we can get proper results in the form of a better student body, in the form of better graduates, in the form of better relationship with the industry, in the form of better employability, and we would be able to get societal contribution from our end as well. So these voices in the quality management system play very important role. With this, I'll take a breath and state once again that almost all quality improvement comes via simplification of design, manufacturing, layout processes, and procedures. Thank you very much for hearing me. If you have any questions or you want to discuss something, you're more than welcome. Okay, so I'll move towards another session. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Nauman Habib, and I was talking to Dr. Karl. Thank you very much for sparing time for us. Dr. Karl Ledermüller is the head of the Evaluation and Quality Enhancement Unit at Vienna University of Economics and Business. He is having his own expertise, internal quality assessment. His area is on internal quality assurances, and he is having a hand-on experience of how to design internal quality system and these instruments and how it is going to help you in achieving your quality assurance and quality enhancement. We are very grateful on behalf of the City University of Science and Information Technology. Karl, we welcome you. I hope you had your coffee earlier. And
It's here.
yeah, yes, perfect, perfect. So you can have, I guess you are done with your coffee. It's now my turn to have a sip of mine.
Great, thanks. So and the joke with the coffee between us is because for all the other listeners, it's quite early here in Austria. So due to the time shift, and thanks a lot. And I think it was great that I jumped in also into your presentation, because I could start with the slides that you ended, the slide with the different stakeholder groups. And what I want to do in the next, I think it will take us an hour, but it also could take us longer. What I have planned is that I give you a short introduction about the context. So what is the WU Vienna as a university? Yeah, that you better understand the context and the differences to your institution. The second part will be our evaluation instruments. So filling more or less all these things said before a bit with life. Yeah, saying okay, how to get the voices of the students, the industry, I don't know, the internal stakeholders into the processes in the university and make that information usable for improvement. And the third part will be the improval part. So where I have some instruments and some reporting structures that I would like to show you relatively hands-on, or the ideas behind for the things we are doing there, how to get the information usable. Can you hear me, or am I?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
Please carry on.
It's
Everything
audible,
works
sir.
great. So can I share my slides? I tried, and if it doesn't work, I need your help. So I get into the presentation mode. And then I should Bildschirm freigeben. That's great. So do you see the right?
Yes, I can see it. Can you just change one slide so that I can confirm the movement?
Yep.
Yep, it's good. You're good to go.
And do you see the presenting mode or the full mode?
It's a presenting mode.
Oh, that's not what it should be. Sorry. Sorry for that. Does it work?
Yeah, now it's in a
Full
view
mode.
mode.
Sorry, what's the wrong picture? And I would recommend that if there are any questions between the instruments, because that what we can do is to dig deeper into the instruments when there are any questions, that you just raise your hand and we discuss the instruments a bit in detail. Yeah, so it's like I try to be like a movie where you can stop and go deeper. So I'm quite flexible on this. Yeah, so I would like to tell you something about our instruments and how we operatively do it and what is the use of our work. Yeah, to give you some insights from a European university that is publicly funded, not privately funded, and has a strong business focus, which doesn't mean that we don't have other faculties. We also have faculty of mathematics, and so sociology and history and stuff like that. But our programs, and I will come to that later on, our programs are a bit or are business focused, because WU is Wirtschaftsuniversität, a University of Business and Economics. Yeah, that's some impressions from our new campus. For the organizational structure, as nearly every university, we have five members of directorate. That's our management body. The presentation before pointed out that leadership and the linkage or the importance of leadership and quality management is somehow important. That's totally true. You can't do anything without any mandate. So it has to be important what you're doing. On one hand side, there are normally legal requirements, that, I don't know, a ministry says, okay, there has to be some quality management in universities or other higher educational institutions. And our management body is split between a rectorate, a senate, which mainly consists of members of faculty, and formally has the curricular development responsibility. So if any curricula are developed, that goes, for example, through the Senate. And here you see that this has an important function for quality management, because that's more or less an anchor point for some of our instruments, because Senate is important for curriculum changes, and curriculum changes somehow are condensed a quality improvement. So if you want to improve quality, you can do it over the curricula, for example. And we have a university board. That's something like a supervisory board in an enterprise context. If you have an enterprise, normally you have a supervisory board, and also here we have something like a supervisory board. That's the university board. So that's the management structure in our university. We are organized in 11 departments, and as you can see, a lot of them are business and also legal focused. But we also have a strong language department, for example, or socioeconomics, and finance, accounting, and statistics also has a quite strong mathematics focus. So we are a bit broader than a classical business school. So we say it's a business university. That's our narrative behind that. We have 14 research institutes and 7 competence centers where research and teaching is done between the different departments and the faculty of the different departments, where we have, for example, experimental research, where that consists or that is broader organized, and members of the different faculties are within this competence centers. And we have an executive academy for one could say lifelong learning, or the after graduation part of education. Maybe in your institutions that's a bit organized, that's a bit differently organized, but at we have an separate body that is part of VU's organization structure, but a bit independent. Yeah, exactly. That's how how the organization structure of directorate is or the management body, the operative management body is organized, and that's important, linking to what was said about we need leadership, or we need begging from leadership, and it differs, or the logic of IQA units differs a bit from the perspective, or from the embedding of the office, I would say, within the within the management body. Some IQA units are, and that's more in European perspective, yeah. And I think that will not be that differently in your institution. Some bodies are directly reporting to the directorate, some IQA offices, yeah. Some are, I don't know, units separately. Can you see my mouse? Or should I? It's a note here. No, but it's not that important. Some are parallel, not within, for example, a vice director, and some are, as we are, and that's not the normal organizational form, and that has some advantages and disadvantages. But it's an important question that you state yourself. I mean, and I'm not sure if that's your call, but that was decided somehow in the institution, that were within the management structure. And IQA in our institution, I mean, we have 2 IQA offices, where one, or the bigger IQA offices, which is my unit, is a part of program management and teaching and learning support, and that has advantages in bringing that IQA improvement, enhancement directly into program management, into curriculum changes, because that's operatively prepared in this unit, yeah? And if IQA is part of that unit, you have a stronger linkage to the changes within the system, but you a bit but you're not directly, for example, reporting to the rector, which had some advantages, but also some disadvantages when you're contacting colleagues in the faculty, or discussing with them, because discussing with colleagues when you're part of program management or teaching and learning support, which is a quite supportive unit, yeah, then you're not the left hand of the rector, and that helps somehow in some discussions, and in others it might not be that helpful. But it's, and I think there is no best solution for that, but it was decided probably, and it depends a bit on the logic of the organization. Yeah. For the context, are there some questions? Was that somehow helpful? Okay. And the view faculty and staff, that you see a bit the size of view we have, and the FTE or full-time equivalents. There are around 1,500 persons working for view, and we have separated here between academic and administrative staff. Yeah, to see a bit the size of view. And our academic programs, we have 3 PhD programs, 2 doctorate programs. The doctorate programs are the classical European doctorate, and the PhD programs are try to be or are more international here. We have 7 German language master programs and 8 English language master programs, and 3 bachelor programs, were 2 bachelor programs, the bachelor program in business law and the bachelor program in business economics and social sciences are the big bachelor programs. The bachelor program in business economics and society, for example, starts with 3,500 students every year. The bachelor program in business law is a bit smaller, and the bachelor program in business and economics, the BBE, starts with around 200 persons. So it's a bit smaller, just to see and the master programs are between, I would say, 30 and 120 students. That's the size of that programs, and so they are differing a bit, and you have to adopt your instruments to be helpful for all of the different programs. The bachelor programs, yeah, the organization of the bachelor programs maybe is not that that interesting. We are organized for the big bachelor programs, and here quality improvement or quality management is quite, on one hand side, tricky, on the other hand side quite scalable, because they're big programs. They're starting in big cohorts, with a common body of knowledge, and then are separated in smaller units. And that's the if you're interested, that's the German taught master programs, what you can study at VU, and that's the English taught master programs. There are doctoral programs. I will not read that. You see, it's quite a business focus, as our university is. And the executive academy, where you can have executive MBAs, and also German programs like the Diplom Betriebswirt or others, that where can get that programs normally parallel to your full-time work in a bigger company. So that's the programs for the managers, I would say. And for our size, and then I stopped the presentation about VU and start with the part you were having me, the IQA instruments. But for context, maybe that's a bit important. We have around 21,000 students, and 5,800 international students, and 15,000 are in the bachelor degree, and the others are in master and doctoral degree. So as I said, the big bachelor programs are our flagships, I would say, maybe not for prestige, but for the number of students and for public funding, because, and that's also an important context information, we just get paid from the state, from active students or students that have a certain amount of courses finished within 1 year, and therefore they are, I think I'm not allowed to say cash cows, but that are the big programs where every change is quite scalable to a lot of students, and then has a bigger impact. And you see the first semester students and the graduates every year. We have a lot of international partners, as you can imagine, and we are proud of the international representation of our triple accreditation, where IQA has also an important function by delivering or by feeding the narratives, or the narratives is maybe a bit too wide, but to fill our reports with life, so to say, with our instruments to a certain extent. And we have some memberships that are quite that are quite important in a European context for a business school, and have some rankings where we're also proud of. Also quite a business focused. So, but and some pictures from the campus, or from and we have nice buildings since 2013, where our former rector manages to negotiate the new campus, because the old one was too small and out of age. So it's And that's a bit the mission part. I haven't shown you the mission, but this picture shows a bit that, and you remember this nice slide with the different stakeholders, where we have, I mean, you called it customers, but that perfectly fits well. You had the business, you had and what are we finding ourselves is a situation where the impact or the something like responsibility, WHO goals start to be more and more important for a higher educational institution, and also IQA is affected that we not only have a classical view of optimizing processes, having a look into the classrooms with our instruments, the teaching and learning works and stuff like that. We also are more and more in a situation where we have to collect data and evidences that our university or institution also fulfill goals that are beyond our main our main teaching function or educational function or research function, so that our institution matters for society. Let's put it like that. And business universities are under pressure here, I would say, since 2008, where the financial crisis broke out, and there were debates where not everyone was sure what the role of business education what was in that crisis. I mean that is not that harshly debated, but that started there, and sustainability. The topic of sustainability grows stronger and stronger, I would say, and this is quite important. So, but now to the interesting part. Sorry for bore you out with the context information, but I think it was quite important, or I thought it was, that you see that that's the context of the instruments, and I would like to show you some really hands-on experience, or share with you hands-on experience, how to build instruments within that context. And I think some of the things we are doing are highly transferable to other institutions, and management or business contexts. And if you have any questions to the instruments or to the work we are doing, just jump in and ask. So I start with our approach of internal quality assurance. So starting with a technical term that you may have learned, that's the quality culture approach. That's a bit in European context. And the problem where it originated was that the problem, or the point was that quality management as such is not very, I don't know, that's normally not the topic where the passion starts within an institution, and maybe that's an important point. Quality management can be seen as a quite bureaucratic tool set, or things the things you do in IQA can be seen as quite bureaucratic, and that it helps maybe a bit when you have leaders backing you that are saying, yeah, but the organization has to fill out all the forms we are sending out to them and stuff like that. But you can jump wider. You can really push the organization more into a good direction, whatever that means, or improve more, or irritate the system more to improve. When there's more within your thinking of IQA than this technical procedures, and quality culture is the approach that you're saying, we're not just the technical part, we're trying to improve the system. There's more there's more usage for all the stakeholders than filling out some forms. That's quite simply putting a longer debate, but quality culture means that everyone in the institution is more or less responsible for quality, not just the quality office. And IQA within the quality culture means trying to think also the other think about the other stakeholders, what's their benefit of our work, and not just under a leader narrative. Yeah, so it's about adding meaning and improving or thinking about the improvement within other stakeholders. Yeah. So our job is collecting evidences on the instrument part and feed it back to the organization to support to support further development. So that's how I see my job and the job of my office. And there are 5 persons, four full-time equivalents that are part of my team. So it's not a huge office. It's a small and I hope quite effective office here. Our key principle is that IQA should be, and that goes back to the quality to the point of quality culture. QA needs to be embedded in a broader framework, so it's not just the IQA office and the logic within the IQA office. So it should be a framework that reaches the whole university. We know that most of the work, or the most effective work we are doing, is communication, and not just talking, also communication via reports. But we have learned, and I mean that's not a very highly sophisticated point, but we have learned that changes not take place when we are hiding some evidences in some reports and lock them away. But the communication part is important, and to focus on the communication means to have the instruments highly efficiently run, so that you have resources for that. We learned that semantics somehow matters. So how you frame, how you communicate is quite important for the whole part of IQA. And we learned that automated process steps, and we have to automate a lot of things to have more resources for communication. It doesn't mean that we should focus on a mechanistic QA. I mean, I tell you more about automation when it comes to the instruments. So it shouldn't be mechanistic, but it should be highly efficient, that you have time to talk and communicate with internal stakeholders. Yeah, and QA needs to add value. I mean, we had that on the quality culture slide. Focusing on the outcomes and not only on the processes. So what are now I start with the part I pointed out where it comes to our evaluation instruments. And the last part is about the development tools. So that's and this slide is in German. The words are in German, but that slide just should show that we have, and that are not all of our instruments, but the student-centered instruments, where we see students as a data source, so to say, can be ordered towards the student lifecycle, and that's quite important for the debates in Europe, where you and also in Austria, in particular, where you say we should know everything about the student, or not everything, because we're not Big Brother, some would say, but we are not, during the whole student life cycle. We should know their demands, their their quality perspectives, their, I don't know, feelings about the organization from the beginning towards the end. And we have some instruments, like we make quality assurance on the entrance exams. That's also an important step, because when you select the right students for the programs, that has a huge quality impact for the whole organization. Having a good, I mean, and all literature says that's a really important aspect for the quality of a program. If you select the right persons for a study, then the quality increases of the program. Yeah, we have, and that's in orange, pointed in orange. We have a different panels, which are questionnaires that are linked to panels. We have questions to the beginning, to the middle of the study, to the end of the study, and questionnaires for the graduates. We have course evaluation. That's the black circle here with the smileys. We have a feedback box. Yeah, I think that's highly underrated, and that's really an instrument that is easy to develop within an organization. And when you organize it in a good way, then it's really helpful. I would say some words later on. That's something how you can really start from with minimum effort. We have reports which are this is student-bezogen reports, so reports for every student programs, also program director reports, where program directors get a bunch of evidences every year, and also the Senate gets this bunch of evidences, and then management talks are going on where these evidences are discussed. What is the number of your students? Why is the student satisfaction decreasing this year? Stuff like that. We have and we also have trackings towards the job market. I will also tell you more about that. So that's a part of our instruments, starting with the evaluation of the entrance exams. I don't know if maybe we start with around to activate everyone here. May all colleagues raise their hands that have entrance exams within their institution? Yeah, you also can do it like I've learned over Zoom. That works like, yeah, like Dr. Ermonis is doing it. So I see some. Yeah, great, thank you. Just two? Just, yeah, it's getting more and more. Just raise your hands if you have entrance exam, if you are in a situation where you can collect your students.
Karl, sorry for interruption. Yeah. We were just reading the previous model, and before we were about to read it completely and understand it, you moved ahead. So if you may please go back to that model.
Sorry.
No. One slide back.
This one, or?
No, yeah, this one.
Shall I say some words to that model? Or the idea
yes,
of that?
we were about to having a discussion over it.
Yeah.
So if you please elaborate it a bit further.
Yeah, sure. I just don't want to bore you with that model, but it's quite important. You got a good point. Yeah, the idea was how to. So the difficulty here when evaluating an entrance exam is that, and I don't know if you have these faculty and staff debates, that the faculty say, hey, staff members, don't point your fingers towards my core competences. And one of the core competences is, and that's always a bit tricky in IQA. And one of the core competences is selecting the right questions for an entrance exam. Yeah, I mean, really debating with a mathematician to say, you should have a look at question A, B, C, and D because there are some parameters that are not really working well is not that easy, and therefore, or to come up with that problem, we have this staff faculty separation. And I'm part of the staff, although I'm also teaching in courses. So I'm a bit in between person, but the person of staff, and my unit are seen as members of staff. And mathematics was a point because the former head of the Senate was the person who came up with the mathematics questions. Yeah. And it's not that easy to debate with the head of the Senate that maybe one or two questions should be should be discussed. Let's put it like this. And we have and I came up with a tech math board, which was which were persons that were really good researchers in psychometrics and mathematics and economics. So really the big guys in that field, and they helped me out a bit with that. For example, Kurt Honig, I don't know if you know the open source software R. We're using it quite. That's a statistical programming language. We're using that quite massively. And Kurt Honig is one of the core team members, and the core R server stands at VU, and there it was quite helpful to have him on this tech math board. And we evaluated for different bachelor programs the questions after they were held with psychometric methods. So we could show if questions, I don't know, if for example really overall good performing persons are performing worse than the other by different questions, or if they are, and that's quite important in our context, if there are a big gender gap in special questions. Yeah, for example, we had one text that was focusing on crude oil, and we learned that the framing of the text, where they have to answer some questions, was not that helpful. So a big gender gap was seen there, and that are things that you learn by generating entrance exams. And we then had two reports. We have reports that were then debated for the design of the next text. That is the box on the bottom left. Yeah. And we had, and here we have to come up quickly with that. We analyzed things like the gender gap quite quickly. That if there were questions from the media, because that's a really sensitive topic in Europe. If you have a too strong gender gap on a test, and we were defining the tests not just for VU but for 4 or 5 other business schools, big business schools in Austria. We have to show that why there was a gender gap, or we controlled about grades from the school. Yeah, and then we learned that it was the grades from the school. It's not the gender gap of the test. We ran some regression models on that. So that was the second function, yeah, of the evaluation, that we quickly can address these problems. Yeah. That relaxed a bit over time, but for the Austrian context, the test of the medical faculties, the MED-AT, was really under pressure, and we had a rectorate thought that we could get under pressure too, and therefore we prepared. And that was the two functions of and that's the reason why you have that model here. That were the two functions. The left boxes the improvement function, making a better test in the next year, and the communication of results of entrance exam was the legitimation a function showing we did everything to have a good test here, and we took also the results for communicating it to other different bodies that were involved in this whole procedure of entrance exams.
Right. So we can infer that the entrance exam is fundamental towards the quality aspect, because if you get the right student. And then I have a very small question just for a specification. These X reports that you generate, are these individual reports regarding each and every entrance exam candidate?
No. What we are, thanks for the clarifying question. We are focusing on a report for every question of the entrance exam, because there is a test and every student has a score, and that's a function of the entrance exam, and we are evaluating if the test identifies the best students and if the test identifies, because we also could do analysis after gradation where we can show if the test results correlate with the grades afterwards or with the ECTS, and the second function is to improve the test. So we are focusing on the test and the questions on the test,
right?
And showing that we're doing professional work here.
It's a sort of the criterion validity and content validity of the entrance exam questions that you do.
Yeah.
Okay, we have two questions. Two of the participants have raised their hand, so I'll just ask them one by one. Dr. Eram Moniz.
I didn't have the question. I was just relating.
Dr. Eram Moniz, please speak a bit louder. Your voice is a bit low.
I just raised hand to say that we have entrance exams for admissions. I did not have a question.
That was the hand from before, or?
Yes, that was the hand from before.
Oh, so your question has been answered, Dr. Eram?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Let me go to the second one, Dr. Iftikhar. Dr. Iftikhar, are you with us? Okay, thanks, Karl. You can continue.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for the clarifying question. I mean that what we do is exactly what was pointed out. So yeah, here I did this slide I could skip because we have stated it before. We analyze more or less the inner working or the test validity of our multiple choice exam, and we use some regression models and also some psychometric models to find out more about that, and that's my opinion as stated. I think, I mean, not everyone at the institutions thinks that, but I think for improving the quality of a program, collecting the right students is essential. Yeah. After the evaluation of the entrance exam, we have a set of questionnaires that are condensed within a panel. So we could also do longitudinal or broader studies, where on the bachelor programs we have a set of questionnaires to the beginning of the studies, the mid of the studies, and the end of the studies, and in the job market. Oops, sorry. And on the master programs at the beginning and the end of the studies, and also for graduation. so it's now you have seen we have 15 master programs and 3 bachelor programs. So all reporting, all questionnaires are relatively automatized. We use R and LaTeX, so the KNIT R environment to automatically produce reports for because we run that every year, and the graduation forms we run every 2 years. So we have automated reports for every program, and for the bachelor program as such. So there are around 40 reports per year, and we wouldn't have the resources to write manual student study reports. So that's more or less automatically done with a script we are using there. We just have to slightly adopt it from year to year and feed the report that comes out every year, and some of the evidences are integrated in the program director report. Every program director that is in charge of the program, running the program, gets a report for a panel, from the panel results of his or her study program. And also program management that is centrally organized, and you have seen the organogram is getting the reports, and there are yearly management meetings between the program director that is running a program in the faculty and the central program management, where they discuss these figures. If there are some, I don't know, things happening in the data, they're discussing why it is the case, and if there's nothing new under the sun, then they don't focus too much on that. Yeah. You see some of the evidences we have in the panel. For example, we have the left figure shows a Wordle. You can't read the other countries that good. Sorry for that. But we see when you go on the job market internationally or to another country, you see the countries here represented. Germany is quite dominant, but we also have Portugal, Switzerland, France, Bosnia, and countries like that. And the Wordle with Austria, where you see then, okay, most of the persons work within our country. And we have in the middle of as an example, see that comparing the relevance of competencies for job market graduates. They see what have you learned, for example, what's important in the job and what is offered, and what have you learned. That's quite important. That's a bit the company perspective or the graduate perspective, and that's important for our career center. That they see, for example, okay, for the young graduates, that the company is family friendly. That's on the top. It can be seen in the company, but not yet quite important, because they are too young. This cohort is too young for this aspect. Yeah. Or that they have to apply a lot of foreign languages and stuff like that. Yeah, that's about the panel. Are there some questions? Maybe we should go run through like this. And here we have the model, more or less to the questions. Are there some questions regarding the student panel? So it's as I said, a set of questionnaires that is sent out electronically to the students. They find it on their online learning environment when they are in the population of the study. Fill out the questionnaires, and we do the reporting and the distribution of the evidences. Are there some questions here?
Yeah, one question. Would you give us these questionnaires? I will definitely try to translate them, but just for an idea that what sort of questions are included in these surveys and these reports. Would
That's
that
no
be
problem.
possible?
Yeah, that's no problem. They are not
Okay.
held this secret somewhere. We also have English ones.
Okay,
but
that would be great because it's very difficult for us. I'm trying to use a Google translator to translate these words to get the meaning out of it.
Yeah, and maybe this slide just shows some of the results. It's more this slide just shall more show that okay, we also have some graphs in the study report. But if you want to have more insight, that's absolutely no problem. I can send you some of the English questionnaires.
That would be wonderful. And related to that, a question: these surveys are conducted after how much time spent?
As I said, every year. So the bachelor beginning is conducted for the first cohort.
Okay.
After Christmas, when they have some experience within the studying at VU, and then they get a questionnaire every year, every cohort. The mid study design is there our cohort is all the students in the bachelor programs, because the mid study we just have on bachelor. On a master's level we have the beginners as well. On the bachelor we have the in between cohort, because the bachelor programs are designed for 6 semesters, and the master programs are just designed for 4 semesters. So we don't have a mid-study questionnaire for the 4 semester programs, just for the longer programs. And there we have defined the cohort that every person who is between 70 and 120 ECTS, so credit points or European credit points. The whole program has 180 credit points, and that they are part of the questionnaire. And if they received the questionnaire last year, they are not next year not part of the questionnaire population anymore. And the graduation questionnaire is for persons who graduate. So that's a rolling a questionnaire. So when you graduate, you get the questionnaire, and then we report it from October to October. And the graduates 3 to 5 years after graduation, and we do it longer and longer for the populations it is done every 2 years. That's the logic behind that. Has it answered your question?
No, I'm clear.
Great.
Please proceed, Karl.
Yep. Good. Okay. So that's a quite simple IQA instrument, the feedback box, but I would say a quite helpful one if you organize it in a way that that the IQA unit is something like a communication broker. We have it done like that everyone can, and we have physical and online feedback boxes, and everyone can write everything into the feedback box, and there come notes like, I don't know, the light is broken, stuff like that, which is also quality management, but not the core of my business. Then we send it to the relevant units. But there is a function that students also can get a reply if they are having their email address within the feedback. There is a form where they can leave their email address. Then anonymously, we take the text block of the feedback, send it to the person in charge, say to the person in charge, please reply to that statement. What's your point? For example, one person says, in the program XYZ, we have this and that problem. Then the program director gets the feedback, and is kindly asked to send us back his or her reply. Sometimes we argue a bit how to formulate it together with the program director, and the student and that's an anonymous process, the student gets the reply back. So that increases a bit the communication and that really feedback gets to the relevant persons, the persons in charge, that also they get a feeling for what's going on within the programs, or what's normally it's not positive feedback. And we learn we learned that our feedback box is quite highly promoted over student apps. And like Yodel, or I don't know, if Studo, if you have something like that, apps where students communicate. And if a student write, oh, there is a big issue, write that to feedback box, then we get 5 or 6 mails from different students for the same topic. And that was highly used in the COVID scenario. Our rectorate wanted to start the next semester. I mean, that's not the case anymore. But wanted to start under we call it 2G, 2G, so the letter G, to nated, which is German for geimpft, or you have to be genesen, which means you have to had COVID in the last half year, and just if you had COVID or are vaccinated, you can enter the building. And some of the student doesn't feel that that's a proper measure, and the feedback box got mad. So that's an important important issue. But also normally it's about quality within the programs. Some issues with different lectures or with special lectures, and we are the communication broker in between. And I think that works quite good, and is not a really sophisticated tool technically, but if you organize it smart within the institution, and if you have the trust, because it's not just the management backing, it's also the trust within the organization, then that is important for IQA. Then you can run that properly. And I think a lot of you colleagues will have such a similar instruments. A simple solution you can come up with. Yeah, sorry, can you repeat? There was a question, but I haven't catched it. Sorry, what's the question? Okay. One of the major instruments in Europe, and maybe that's also the case in your environment, are the classroom evaluation. And we frame classroom evaluation, or for us, classroom evaluation is a feedback instrument. We refurbed, I mean, classroom evaluation at VU has a history of first students organized something in the 1990s, and until 2006 there is a central solution for classroom evaluation, and we are more or less obliged by law to have such an instrument. We developed it into direction, as I said, that's a feedback instrument, and we have 2 parts of the classroom evaluation. One is the formal evaluation, where there is institutional reporting of the results. So not just the teacher, but also the person who is in charge of the teacher, and also of the program. So the head of the faculty member and the head of the program get the results, and the head of the department as well. And there is a second part of reporting. It's not reporting, sorry, of that feedback instrument, that is fast feedback, where we came up with a solution that is a quite similar solution from the logic, where every teacher can add feedback instrument within the learning environment of a class for him or herself, and no person from central administration will look into the results. So if you want to have results from your students. Have you understood this? He or she can quite flexibly do this in the safe space of the classroom. And there is the central classroom evaluation, where every lecturer at VU is obliged to hold an evaluation, 2 semesters obligatory, 2 semesters if they like, they can opt in, and then 2 semesters obligatory, and such a rolling system. So 50% of VU are evaluated obligatory, and we have and 50% can opt in, and we have more than 1,000 evaluations every courses evaluated every year. Sorry, every semester.
There was a point of a voluntary evaluation.
Entry evaluation, sorry?
Voluntary evaluation.
Voluntary, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Is this a volunteer by a faculty, or is it the students' feedback?
It's a faculty. It depends a bit. Technically, it's voluntary by faculty. But there are cases, it can also be voluntary by program directors. To see, all of my courses, the courses in the program, and we have a lot of programs that are going into the direction. We volunteer every semester, and we the whole program, and there are cases where students contact us and say, we want to have that course voluntarily evaluated. And then we discuss it with the program director, and normally the program director say, okay, then we evaluate. Yeah. So primarily it's the teacher,
right?
Secondary, the program director, and also the students.
Right. A related question to it is that do you visit the classrooms to check the teaching methodology or the class environment, or no, it is off the books?
No. We're don't doing that because I'm not. I mean, who am I that I am? I'm not saying English teacher how to teach English. Yeah. We are running the instruments. I'm not the expert. I mean, I can peer visit a course that is in my field, and I can give feedback to the colleague, and there are some peer feedback instruments, we have an expert giving feedback on another expert, but I will not go. I mean, if central management, if rectorate really goes in that direction, I will try to get rid of it, because I will destroy a lot of trust within the organization that I have. Yeah. And in some faculties, or for some courses, who am I to give feedback? Yeah, I'm teaching finance, I'm teaching statistics a bit. Yeah, here I can give feedback if everything would, but I'm not the reporting general for someone. I don't do this.
Share the same ideology in this regard, that we should trust them and let the teacher teach in the classroom. There is no need to go and monitor them in their classrooms, because that feels a bit odd, because sometimes if I am in the class, I have to explain something to my students. Maybe I go a bit informal with them, and maybe it would be against the criteria set by the person who is visiting and evaluating my classroom methodology, but I have to go according to the environment of my class. So I personally believe this thing, that it shouldn't be a practice where we go and monitor the teachers in the classroom.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Yeah, because the most important, I mean, as you said in your presentation, yeah, it's really important that management backs the IQA the IQA office. Yeah. I mean, that's important, but it's also important that faculty trusts the IQA office, yeah? And you will destroy trust if you're the person with the stick, also with and saying, no, you have to. Also, the reporting structure structure. I'm not the person that looks at me, because that's really a hot topic also in our institution. Some would like to have me in that role, but when it comes to discussions with who are the worst teacher, that's not my call. We report results to the head of the person, which is in faculty, and there they have to solve these kind of problems. Yeah. Also, and I come later to that. When it comes to program evaluation workshops, I'm the person who moderates it, and I can moderate it in a way that the urgent problems pop out. That's not the point. Yeah. But I really try not being the person with the stick, saying, you have to do it in that, or that would be a role conflict as I see my job, and will not help me otherwise. Because I don't get here these faculty members for the TechMath board that I need, for example. When 1 week ago I rushed into his classroom and said, hey, you have to teach it in another way. That doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay, I guess, but is it by mistake or something? Ms. Tahira Tariq, she has unmuted her mic. Do you want to add something? I guess it's by mistake. Carry on, Karl. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. If there are any questions, just jump in, everyone. Yeah. So, okay, I had this, and here are some yeah, also some questions. They're in English. Sorry for having them in German. The others, just have to take a look. Yeah. And there are some questions we have. And the design of the questionnaire is that we have 4 modules within the questions. We start with 2 open-ended questions. What do you like in the course? What do you dislike? These open-ended questions are just for the teachers only. That's feedback that just sees the teacher. Then there are 4 obligatory modules everyone has to, and some of the questions are within the reporting system. And we have 2 voluntary modules that every teacher can change. That's more or less the structure of the questionnaire. So some questions that are required from central administration, I would say, and some questions the teacher can change within the system for his or her specification, to give also the teachers a bit a space to learn something for him or herself, because feedback matters in that context. That's maybe important. Yeah. The assurance of learning process, that's a bit directly linked to, I just skip briefly over that, that logic, and that's a quite helpful logic, came from an ASSB accreditation, so that the instrument was externally, so as classroom evaluation was driven by a ministry, I would say, or every university should have one. Yeah, let's put it like that. That was also externally demanded by an accreditation agency. It was the ASSB accreditation in our context that say, okay, you have to assure that people, I mean, and the idea is simple and quite valid. You have to ensure that persons or students learn what you intend to have them learn. So you define learning objectives, yeah, learning goals, you define competences, sub-skills, because you want to teach these skills and competences within a program, within a course, but you have to take sure that you have to make sure that they really learned that, and you can do it over the assessment of the final test, for example, but the agency says that's not really enough. You have to evaluate that over the whole study, because you have some competences that are not just course related, but that are broader. And there we came up with our assurance of learning process, where we have linked some of the competences in the programs towards the final thesis, where we say, okay, at the final thesis, you see, do they write, I don't know, in a proper writing style? Can they elaborate the research question? Can they, I don't know, apply methods and stuff like that? For example, you can measure that over the test, or we have over the thesis, because every student have to write one on bachelor and on the master level. And on the bachelor level and on some master programs, we also have defined some very important core tests where we use some of the questions in the tests to observe if they have learned certain skills or sub-skills. And as IQA unit, we are are preparing all the reports and all the evidences in the measurement phase, which are the three yellow blue bars. We are part of the defining learning goals group, because somehow they have to be measured, and if they are not measurable, I don't know, the definition doesn't make sense when we are not part of the table. We help to choose assessment artifacts, and we're also helping the collection of the data and the writing of the reports, and program management more in discussion with the program directors identifies improvement measures and action plans. When we find out, okay, students can't do this and that properly, then some actions are required for the sake of accreditation, but also for the sake of internal improvement. And that's validated from an external accreditation agency, namely the ASSB accreditation agency. So also we have some here. I will jump over the definition of the competence and learning goals, because if you're not in that particular accreditation, maybe that's not that of interest. I mean, it's a common standard in Europe that you have some learning goals and goals and defining competences and skills, or learning objectives, learning outcomes for a program and for courses. That's not something this agency has developed, and that's not the most silly part of IQA, and also for developing a course when you think about what should the students learn in that course. Makes sense somehow. That's a competence tree in a bachelor program, but I will skip that. When it comes to graduates, we have, and that's an Austrian initiative where nearly all universities joined in a consortium and came up with graduate tracking. It started with some projects where we also were invented, but where we also took part at. The graduates in the labor market, the ATRAC project is a joint project between the institutions, the universities, and the Statistics Austria, which is the central statistic body of the government, so to say, so the official statistics broker for the country of Austria. They have a lot of data regarding our graduates and our students, and we get information about the labor market status of all our graduates in Austria. We get information about, and that is the fact sheet that is reported to us, and it looks like that. At the time period until the first employment, so we learn out of that program related reports, how long does it take for a graduate that he or she finds his first proper employment, what are the top industries, the top sectors for our graduates in a specific program, and how much they get, and some other informations, how much they earn, and some other informations, but that are the major 4 learnings out of the factors. And we have access to a database where we also can have some customized queries when we want to dig deeper. Yeah, and that's not a questionnaire related instrument. The Statistics Austria have the info, the data for all of our graduates in the Austrian job market. So we know, so we really have a deep insight, especially for the persons who are working in Austria, and that is the majority of our students. So we know if they are employed and what do they earn. For data privacy issues, illegally, it's, you know, Europe, as I learned, just possible to do to run such an instrument in Austria, because there was an act to scientifically use social security data in certain specific forms, and I think in Finland, and that there are 2 countries who could come up from a legal point of view, which with such tools. But yeah, I just added it, that we also have an instrument here, like nearly all universities have the same instrument, and we use it in these PD reports. Our career service uses it in debating with or discussing with graduates into which direction, how much they will earn and stuff like that. Our program directors get the reports and learn more about the program. Directorates sometimes want to have this data to communicate for prospective students. Hey, look, come to us, you will find a proper job. We can prove that with our evidences and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's what the fact sheets look like. We have the varying job market status. The dark blue bars, for example, of the left-hand side, shows that over time, this is the proportion of students that have a classical employment status defined in the social security status. So our normal, and that's one program have classical employment and are not self-employed and stuff like that. Or the gray bar means they have no residence in Austria, so you can think that they are going abroad, but that's not a majority of the students here, for example, that you can learn out of this fact sheet. Yeah, you see how much month in median, 1 month to find a proper job. That's quite good, I would say. Just have, and a lot of students, so nearly 1/3 of the students goes into the wholesale trade industry, and yeah, also a lot of students go part-time, especially in the education industry, are employed at universities, at high schools. Normally at the university, and a lot of students stay at VU and have some jobs here and make a doctorate, for example, and also the income. Yeah, that was a short overview of our evaluation instruments, or of most of our evaluation instruments, so to speak. We also have some instruments where they have a different aspect or different point of view, a different angle, and are more focused of enhancing and pushing quality further. For example, our program director report, we as I mentioned earlier, the persons who are responsible for academic program are faculty members, and faculty members are the program directors, and there is a central program management. And in our bylaws, in our statutes, there is defined that the Senate who is an important player in the management body, has to receive every year a program director report, and we used that to saying, hey, if there has to be a program director report, we centrally produce that report. That report can be can be used by, or is used by, the program directors to, on the one hand side, report to the Senate. And it's a quite standardized report where, I mean, we defined it as a slide set. The first version was a PDF, a PowerPoint slide set, where also the program directors can skip out some informations. For example, we have informations about student beginners, where they come from, and maybe that's also important for program marketing or stuff like that. But that PowerPoint slide set is a defined slide set, goes to the Senate and is used, and that's the more important part, and is used for annual bilateral program director meetings, where they are also discussed. And so we use our evidences, or our evidences are used to improve the programs, and what should be improved is discussed in this program management meetings, and I come to that later on, in a program evaluation, all 5 or 6 years where a program has to evaluate it, then they also the group of persons that are evaluating that program also gets these evidences. Yeah. How do we technically do it? The problem here is that the data sources of different evidences, for example, student beginner information out of the student panel, where we have more satisfaction issues, information from the A-track, where we show some of these graphs within the PD report, shall not produce manually, because that would cost too much time. We produce this automatically with R and R Markdown, and define a relatively nice PowerPoint slide set that gets transmitted to the program directors, and they can use that. They also have to answer some questions within the slide set and send that to the Senate and use it in the bilateral meeting. And if, for example, satisfaction results decrease, or number of students decrease, increase, stuff like that, that is then discussed in these groups. So we get our information into a management process, and therefore increase the quality. The program evaluation. Are there questions here? I don't think so. Just jump in if anything is unclear. Program evaluations are also an instrument that we have to do according to our bylaws. And we said we don't want to follow a classical program evaluation a procedure where you have a self-report, then is a group of external persons who are writing notes on the self-evaluating reports, and then come to the university and make a visit, and defining what has to be improved. We say the program evaluation workshop shall be a friendly feedback for the program. The program wants to learn more about, and normally that works. If you have an environment of trust, the program directors normally are quite eager to learn about different perspectives. And that's true. They are normally really intrinsically motivated to learn, and if not, we normally also find a way. And the focus of the program, the evaluation, is a workshop. Well, just take a look at the time, and this workshop consists of different stakeholders. The program director, we have normally 2 labor market representatives, some students on the body, 1 or 2 alumni, normally 2, some external peers, professors from other institutions, 1 internal peer, so a program director from another program, and sometimes some faculty representatives, we define the roles in advance and say, okay, you are student, and that's not that difficult, and you answer, or you give feedback to the program, to all the data we send in advance, our panel reports, our program director reports, some other evidences, the brochures, the study, the curriculum and stuff like that. And all 5 to 6 years, such a group of persons gives feedback to the program. And the program director defines in the next bilateral meeting what her or his learning out of the workshop were. And normally there are a lot of learnings, and we also run a certain setting for the logic from the logic of programs that start. So we have ex ante workshops when a program starts, and we also have a group of persons giving feedback on the program design. But I think maybe you have similar things. That are the roles that are attached to the different stakeholders of the group, same persons or stakeholders that are defined here. We had a first round on program evaluation and where we more focused on environmental analysis, and we said, okay, what was really good in that first round was that we focused on we focus on the feedback dimension and the usage of results. So the program director says, okay, I want to go in this or that direction, and and normally then they go into that direction, and it's not a you have to go in that direction, and there should be some presentations in the Stuko about the results, targeted presentations, so everyone gets documents in advantage. It's empirically backed, and specific questions. The content orientation is also quite important by defining, or the stakeholders or the program director has to define what's his or her goals of the program, also 5 to 6 years, because that could change. And also questions like, which kind of credits would you like to produce, which kind of students do you want to attract, and how can you manage that you attract these students. And we focus on, and there are also 2 models afterwards, on coherence, means all the dimensions, also the stakeholders that are important fit together. And that's an Austrian specificum, because ministry wants us to do this. How to more or less easy to study are the courses that should be visited in one semester, and maybe they are parallelly organized. So you have to take, I don't know, statistics 1 and mathematics 1, and you should take these 2 courses in one semester, and are they on the same time, for example, and you are not able to visit the courses. That's more by seconded by topic. Here I have our coherence model, where I say, okay, what is the coherence of our program goals? Or do the program goals fit to the programs, to the program design? So is the direction you want to go fits it to your study program? If you say, okay, I want to produce fine, and then the program doesn't fulfill that, that's an extreme example, then you have to rethink maybe your program goals or your curriculum. To the tactical methods fit to your design. If you say, okay, I want to teach my students how to work in a team, and then you have just a bunch of multiple choice final exams, maybe they don't learn how to work in a team in your program. So maybe we should discuss that. Do you have the target markets in focus that are realistic? So if you say, I want to, I don't know, produce tax advisors for the Austrian business, yeah, and none of the graduates goes into that industry, then maybe we should discuss why this is the case. And does the overall coherence mean that does all this coherence point work together? So that's our model we came off, and we also have a model for this Studierbarkeitsdebate for the studyability. I will not go into huge detail because I think that's quite an Austrian and German speaking, let's say German speaking countries specific topic where yeah, the discourse in Central Europe goes into that direction. I don't know, and I think it's a bit a publicly funded universities thing, because if you're privately funded, you normally really focus on Studierbarkeit, and you don't need to have that model there because it's your core interest to have that. Yeah. There are the follow-ups. We write some meeting minutes, and all the lessons learned out of the workshop is integrated in program director meetings and in program management meetings and presented in the Stuko. So also the integration gets its place. So the program director defines what has to be improved and commits him or herself in a certain set of meetings to improve, and that helps. It's not that central administration says you have to improve in this or that or the other point. On the critical points here, and if you have the trust in the organization, that normally works quite well. That's the model of, or that's the structure of our workshop with these coherence elements, and you see all these blue bars are a set of documents and questions we are sending out, and questions that are going to which stakeholder group. That's in the yellow blue, the light blue bars, and the workshop and the follow-ups painted in one nice picture for the sake of PowerPoint presentation. But that's what we do in organizing a workshop, and that's our model here. Because we have to communicate also to our bodies and say, okay, that's the idea behind our workshops, and that should be the idea condensed in one picture. But it is like this picture is that what I talked about. Yeah. And here I try to list again all the, because IQA is about, as I said, and that's my conclusion. IQA is about finding evidences, getting evidences, and feed it back for the sake of improvement. So if you put it in one sentence, that's our understanding a bit of IQA, to put it simple. And that are the communication channels and activities we use. Additionally, we try to get these quality criteria into program director summits, which are meetings amongst all program directors, and into the bilateral meetings. For example, get the PD report there. We get sometimes some specific reports into the debates, into the discussions, and try to push the system, the programs further, or help them to push themselves further. That would be the better phrase. We highly integrate that into the evaluation workshops. So we try to really integrate a lot of evidences we collected and we produced into the workshops for the sake of improvement. There are teaching retreats, program labs, and workshops that are run by other units within the teaching support unit, and depending on topic, we also can support these workshop and program labs. We also try to have regularly topics in Senate meetings, in meetings of department heads. So that there also is a connection between our findings, our results, but it depends on topic and the working group of the Senate, for example. But we also try to have communication channels into that direction, and sometimes we also have a teaching and learning academy, and there we also have some chapters. The teaching and learning academy, I can share the link, but it's in German only. Is an online academy is a big word, but it's an online collection of things a teacher has to or could take into consideration, and we also have our topics here, and try to feed it also back into trainee programs and HR development, but that's a bit underdeveloped here. And to sum up my boring speech is our IQA approach is to run evaluation instruments, as I said, to support enhancing and development teaching and learning. So on the one hand side, the technical instruments, that would be the mechanistic is not bureaucratic. So we collect the instruments and try to make it usable within the organization, and that's what we do. And the main function of our IQA unit, in my point of view, is the translating function. So we are getting evidences, or we getting also I don't know, obligations from the ministry, from agencies, and translate it into a language that the house can cope with that, and then translate it back to these certain bodies, and also translate the Babylon within function, and also translate our technical results into improvement. Sometimes we are managing that. And that was it from my side. Sorry for talking so long. I hope it was interesting. Are any questions, or do we want to have a round workshop round here, round discussion?
Thank you very much, Karl. And I just want to say that Wu is 124 years young, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, something
okay,
like that.
It's a sort of a wild question that came up with discussion with my colleagues over here on the table. You can see them. We were thinking to ask you that how much time particularly it took you to establish and develop such an comprehensive IQA system internally.
I mean, it all starts, and I mean not all, but IQA in Europe starts, or especially in Austria, but the countries came up at the same time with the University Law 2002. Der UG 2002, das Universitätsgesetz, University Law, and there the ministry defined there has to be certain amount of internal quality management. The first instrument was, and I wasn't in that unit at that time, because I started as an assistant in an institute. The central classroom evaluation started 2006, and most of the instruments started after 2011, because then I joined into that team. So the work, I mean, there was an elaborated IQA system, and the elaboration started in 2002, I would say. And
can I ask a very simple and plain question over here? Most of the time we see that the quality assurance activities are imposed, or it's some kind of obligatory from the external bodies, from the councils or from the commission or the external regulators. That is one case, right? We obviously know that we have to comply with them and we have to report. But if we, as a university, and particularly the young universities in Pakistan, if they want to establish their own IQA mechanism, what sort of a framework or guidelines would you give them, where to start and from where to begin? And expected timeline that they should not be in a hurry, how much time they can cover up the entire process of IQ?
I mean, I totally get the point and the meaning of your question, and I don't think that I'm really smart enough to answer that simple question, because I don't know the context of every institution. But I think, and that's a main point of that what you said. I think maybe it's a good idea to have a plan, to say, okay, that's my main focus. I have to start, for example, with classroom evaluation. So that's the first thing I can come up with from the instrument side. But what's the priority for instruments depends a bit on the framework you are choosing. Yeah, because you define a set of technical frameworks that can be used. Yeah. And to a certain extent yeah, are probably helpful for the first of development round of IQA, but you have to focus on first thing first. And I also don't know how, when a IQA system is developed, or you can say, okay, now we are on a stage that we have finished our journey here, because what I learned is this journey never ends. Yeah, but and it depends on the size of the university and the size of your team, but it will take some years, I think. Yeah, I mean, for classroom evaluation, you will need, I don't know, until it's really implemented within the organization and everyone can live with that, because that's the long-term perspective normally. Because in the beginning, normally you have persons who dislike your instruments, and then they get used to it, and it runs 5 to 10 years. Yeah, which doesn't mean that you just can start with the next instrument when that process is finished. Yeah, so it will take you, I think, 5 to 10 years to come up with a good solution.
I mean, somewhere in between 5 to 10 years. And as I used words in my presentation, that you should not forever climb the same mountain again and again. And somehow you have to move towards a bigger or highest peak at some point. So that means at least 5 to 10 years it will take to mature your IQA system, and then you can focus on your quality enhancement aspects.
I would recommend to do it parallelly. I mean, the focus in the first years will be on the instruments. Yeah. But my recommendation would be, while focusing on the instruments, think about the implementation and do it parallelly. Yeah, means if you, for example, developing a questionnaire for classroom evaluation, yeah, if you can sit in your office and think about the instrument and come up with the instrument, or you're starting debates within the house, which take you maybe 1 year to finish longer, or will take you longer to finish it, but the acceptance of the instruments is a bit higher. And then you can start with a prototype of the classroom evaluation, also having that implementation in mind. So I will not say you develop an instrument and then the implementation starts. I would say the implementation and the quality enhancement starts by starting with setting up the instrument.
Okay, next question is that should we develop all the instruments by ourselves, or can we adapt to some extent?
I will not start for every instrument from scratch. I mean, that will overburden every institution. My recommendation would be to collect best practices from different universities, and then adapt it a bit, yeah, and also go into literature. There is so much written about classroom evaluation. There's so much written about also about the instrument as such, about student questionnaires and things like that. Don't start with developing, start with literature review. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, I'll hand over the mic to one of my faculty member. She's from the Department of English. She just want to ask a question and clarity regarding that feedback mechanism you have.
Yep.
I have a question regarding the feedback box.
Yeah.
Can faculty, faculty members or the teachers, can they put their feedback over there if they have any reservations regarding the quality from the administration perspective?
Normally, I mean, they could send it into the feedback box. Normally, they write an email to the rector or to the vice director of education and say, Karl is not performing well. that's the normal procedure.
What would happen to the anonymity
but they could,
someone
yeah.
wants to be not identified? If someone wants to give some feedback or comment and they want to remain anonymous.
Yeah, sure they could, and some of the feedbacks that can be, if there is an anonymous feedback, that can be that it's a faculty member, yeah. And I had some inputs from the box where I thought, okay, that's not a student, but no, but normally, yeah, if someone wants to criticize our work, for example, that really comes from the front. So that's and sometimes it's a call, yeah, where they call me and say, Karl, what are you doing here?
Well, what about this situation where the complaint is against the rector or the program director? How can we approach them?
That normally works on an informal coffee meeting. And I said, Karl, what's going on there? So that's the feedback mechanism here. Yeah, and that's quite important. When I mean, we're joking a bit there, where the question is, where is an IQA institute embedded in the organization? Are you the left hand of the rector? That has advantages, but this kind of feedback will never reach you then. And if you're within the management processes, yeah, you're then also sometimes a sparring partner for different topics, and then you maybe have less management, but I don't see that point, or I don't see that important. But you have more. I call it trust in the organization, or your colleagues are more your colleagues and not persons you observe. Yeah, and also regarding to your question, do you go into the classroom and say, hey, you lecturer, you should do it another way? If I would do that, I would destroy these very important functions there, yeah, and I mean, that's obvious that some decisions from the rectorate, I mean, for example, in COVID management, are not defined in a way where everyone is happy about that, yeah, and that reaches everyone at the institution that I can talk about these issues, yeah.
Okay, so finally, I'll open the floor if someone wants to ask a question before we close the session. So the participants are welcome. They can ask the expert.
So if you have questions, just jump in. And I'm not seeing myself as really an expert. I just want to share some experiences here.
Well, we are looking at you, and we believe that you are also 124 years young. Because that is the system, and it has been established over the years. You being a part of it, so you definitely are a bit more advanced in this
Yeah.
regard, and we believe that we can learn a lot from you. And so far from our discussion, we believe that it is the commitment and contribution from everyone to make this IQA system successful. One element. The second element is that the feedback and continuous improvements are very important. And I love the last slide where you quoted that all this system is to support enhancing and developing teaching and learning mechanism. And we believe that this is the manifesto of the higher education institutes and every academic institute to make sure that they are working towards teaching enhancement, quality enhancement, and learning perspective. Karl, I'll be waiting for an email where I can receive your PPTs, because I have been getting requests from the participants that they want to read it in detail, and also some of the IQA tools that you are using, the English version of
Yeah.
it might help us in learning and improving our system.
Sure. Sure. I can offer the panel questionnaires and also some questionnaires for the evaluation from the evaluation of classroom evaluation. That's absolutely no problem. But don't just and you can adopt it for your institutions. That's great. Absolutely no issue here. Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Thank you very much, Karl. It was an honor for us and pleasure to have you, and we learned a lot of things, and we were constantly discussing on board, and definitely it is going to help us out. We really appreciate that you took time and got yourself in the shoes early in the morning without even brushing your hair. So we noticed that too, but we admire your commitment.
My hair is brushed. That's the business style. It will not get any better.
Right. Oh, you are acceptable to us in any way you are. So we wanted to learn, and I'm sure that all the participants learned. And with that, the floor is up to you for the closing remarks, if there is anything you want to add.
Yeah, thanks for that really kind and friendly words. Yeah, I thank you for having me. Yeah, and if there are any questions, as I said, I can send you the instruments. That's absolutely no problem, and also the PowerPoint slide set. Yeah, to share it between the participants. That's highly welcome. We are in a very good situation that we are publicly funded, so I see my work also as a contribution to a broader context, and not just for the institution or within the institution. That fits great, and I totally liked your learning outcomes. That IQA is a bit beyond the technical bureaucratic exercise. Yeah. Because that's not satisfactory for it's not like a happy Smurf town IQA at view. There are conflicts, there are debates. Maybe I overplayed that a bit. That doesn't mean that everyone is happy with that what I'm doing, because if everyone would be happy at any time, I would do a bad job. But somehow we managed to get along with some kind of conflicts and stuff like that. But I'm totally sure that I will, and that's not just me, that's also program management. We from the philosophy would not jump that far with our approaches when we would be in a contradictive position from start, when we don't invite all the stakeholders to be part of this IQA thing. Yeah, and I think that's one of the issues. And for the details, you get the emails. Could you just send me a reminder email, because then I mark it, and then I don't forget it. Just a short note what I should send you, and that's perfect. So from my point of view, bye from Austria.
Thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to have you around us, though it was a virtual one, and looking forward someday in this world, maybe we meet physical face to face. and looking forward to have you in different sessions. We want to engage you and keep learning from you. That is what we believe, because City University is just 20 years young.
Yeah.
It's just like who is our grandfather in this academia. So we definitely would love to learn from your experiences. Once again, thank you very much for your time, and the session you did, it is commendable and appreciated from all our colleagues over here, and definitely from the participants. And with that note, thank you very much, and I'll be sending you email right away that what we expect you to share with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, and
Bye-bye.
have a nice day.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice day.
Thank you. Bye.